Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is good. Surprisingly good when it has so much baggage to try and shake off after what seems to be a rather dismal run of Marvel's fourth phase. Well, I don't know. I didn't watch any of them. Marvel ended with Endgame for me, and Disney's very obvious attempt to squeeze out another 30 movies and shows before superhero fatigue really hits home is actually kind of pathetic. But I thought, why not? Once more onto the breach. So I got back on the short bus with my fellow Marvel fans, tried to ignore the two really loud kids screaming in my face about Nazis and SJWs both ruining media, and just prayed it wouldn't be total shite. Well, first things first, I told myself. I'm trying to be a wee bit professional with this whole review and lark, and I do like to look into things. So I told myself I'll watch WandaVision first, binge watch it, get it done. So I watched it all the morning before I went to the cinema, and Jesus, do I regret that. It's a 9 episode long show that could have been done in about 30 minutes, where basically nothing happens apart from the total character assassination of Wanda. And look, if you somehow stumbled upon this review, and somehow you haven't seen any Phase 4 stuff, don't watch WandaVision before you watch this. It makes the whole thing so much worse. The movie itself starts with an action scene with Doctor Strange running through the kaleidoscope world with some random teenage girl. Now, this clearly isn't our Doctor Strange, and the identity of the girl is probably meant to be a surprise because she doesn't name drop herself for about 10 minutes. But even with my total aversion to everything Marvel related for the past 2 years, I just couldn't avoid being told. This is either America Chavez, the hero of the LGBT who will light our path to the new future, or that this was America Chavez, the death of the franchise and the biggest token and Mary Sue who's ever existed. Now, before watching WandaVision in this movie, I thought America was going to be my elephant in the room that I'd have to cover in depth, but oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Otherworld Strange and America get attacked by a mimic from the Edge of Tomorrow, which is clearly hinted at being the main antagonist, but it's so generic it obviously isn't. Well, Otherworld Strange is killed, and America is thrown to the main Marvel universe and saved by Doctor Strange and Wong from a Starro the Conqueror cosplayer. They take her to the safety of Kamar Taj, which I forgot existed, and I'm pretty sure Marvel did too, because I haven't remembered them ever mentioning it again after the original Doctor Strange. The demons so far have been summoned via witchcraft and not sorcery, and due to that, Strange has to go and speak to Wanda to try and get some information. And surprise, surprise, guys, she's the villain. Like, I've seen so many people being like, I was blown away by this. I see people going, oh, spoiler warning, guys. It's so obvious. If you watch WandaVision, if you watch the trailer, it is so obvious she is the main villain. I don't get how anyone is confused by this whole thing. So, yeah. Wanda wants to get America's powers because she wants to be able to travel into the multiverse, and to do this, she launches an invasion of Kamartaj and slaughters so many of the sorcerers, some in kind of violent ways, and it leads to Strange and America having to retreat into the multiverse where they meet a whole bunch of famous faces and cameos. They meet the Illuminati as shown in the trailer. We get our best version of Captain Marvel so far. We also get Captain Carter, who I know appeared in What If, and they may have explained it there, but I'm genuinely concerned why she's not called Captain Britain, because Captain Britain is Captain America's British version. I'm assuming it's because of colonialism or something like that. But yes, quite a lot of the movie's also based on Stephen Strange's relationship with Christine Palmer, his love interest in the first movie, who I also forgot existed. And once again, I'm pretty sure Marvel did too, because this movie is trying to tell you that he has been so upset this entire time that he didn't marry her, and I don't think he's ever once mentioned her apart from the first movie. It is a very action packed movie, which does save it from being kind of just all visual like the original Doctor Strange. However, the biggest problem with it is that a lot of the fights do end up being magic users who just stand in place or hover in place and throw spells back and forth at each other. So visually, it's not overly interesting for a lot of the fights. Well, some of the fights, like Wanda versus the Illuminati, are absolutely fine. They're well choreographed enough. They're interesting, surprisingly gory in parts, so I do recommend them. The multiverse jumping, though, is actually quite weak. There's only three universes they really go to: the main universe, the Illuminati universe, and then the Dead universe at the end. It really seems underwhelming when the concept was to travel around the multiverse. It would have been nice if the cameos, instead of all being in the Illuminati universe, were spread out across a like, dozen, like 5 minutes in each, like jumping back and forth. Maybe even a montage of them being chased by demons and having to keep jumping over and over and over again to get away. But that doesn't happen. Instead, it's quite stale. They go to one universe, spend about a third of the movie in it, shit goes sideways, jump to another universe, spend the last third of the movie, and it's a bit slow and kind of disappointing. Sam Raimi's weirdness really stands out, really works. The horror elements are fine. I don't think it's scary in any way, but there's a couple of jump scares they try and push on you. I don't think they work, but I'm sure some people probably get a kick out of that. But we'll get to the elephants now. America's just some teenage girl who has the ability to jump between the different universes of the multiverse. She can't control her powers though, only activating them when it's convenient for the plot. Oh, sorry guys, I mean when she's scared. But in my opinion, she's fine. Yeah, she drops the fact that she has two moms and it is a bit clunky, but they don't really hammer it in. It's such a minor part of the movie that when Saudi Arabia wanted Disney to remove it, it would have only been 12 seconds of footage being removed, which means that they don't really show them on screen very much at all. Look, I just thought they were going to Sailor Moon that shit and claim they're cousins because the two women don't even kiss. They hold hands and put a flower on each other's hair in one scene, and that's it. In my opinion, if you have an issue with 12 seconds of not really forced wokeism, then that's probably more of a you issue than an everyone else issue. But there are still some issues with the character. The issue I have shows up very quickly when she appears on screen, and that's because the camera likes to focus in on it, and it's a pride pin on her chest. Like, I get it, it's 2022, a 15-year-old girl wearing the pride pin is not strange or startling because it's kind of a fashion accessory, but look, I get it. My biggest issue with it is the flag that they used. Even in the LGBT community, this is not a popular flag because it alienates people. Because a lot of people say, well, I like the original rainbow flag, and you've just added a whole bunch of more stripes to yours to say, look, I'm even more woke than you are. You should be using my flag instead of that flag that you've been holding for 30, 40 years. So I think if they just picked the standard one, it probably would have alienated less people. The other issue I have with it is this is a girl born to two moms or adopted by two moms in a universe that's like alien and everyone accepts the LGBT apparently. There's no issues there from what we see. And she's traveled across 73 other universes where she's being paint, a blob, hunted by demons, hunted by monsters, nearly killed, nearly had her soul sucked out, all this kind of stuff. She's seen universes fall apart at the atomic level. And she's still like, oh, but the LGBT community is the number one issue for me, and I'm going to wear it on my chest when I go into battle. It just seems really silly because that seems like it would be small potatoes by that point. I do like at the end though when she gets a new uniform and immediately just gets rid of the pin because obviously it just didn't matter to her. I just think if they either didn't have it or had a more neutral flag, it probably would have made more sense to the whole thing. But yeah, I don't think she's the most woke character ever. I don't think she's like a gay figurehead who's going to lead us to enlightenment. I think people need to calm down about her. She's like totally fine in my opinion. I do like that the woke crowd really turned on her though, because out of a character who has the most inconsistent skin tones across all of the comics, and this is just from like a 50-second Google search, I found all these pictures. They're complaining that she's too white. This is also the crowd that will then turn on like me, for example, for saying that Leon in the new Resident Evil is meant to be a white guy, and they'll call me racist for it. But they're okay to complain that she's not their specific Dulux color chart. I think it's pretty funny. Now, let's talk about the Scarlet Elephant in the room. Wanda was a great character in the original Avengers movies, a really interesting character, a really badass character, and definitely the one they should have picked for the badass empowered female role as opposed to Captain Marvel. She was a woman who actually grew up during a civil war. She had a really sad backstory. Her parents died, her brother died, everything was bad for her. Instead, we got Captain Marvel who got shouted at once because she crashed a go kart. Wanda actually volunteered to be experimented on by the Infinity Stones and overcame them herself and slowly built up to be an absolute badass. Then we have Captain Marvel who stumbled dick first into greathood. Wanda was a great character and in WandaVision totally killed her because she got the big sad. If you pause for any amount of time and think about Wanda's story in this, her reasonings in this, her background in this, none of it makes sense, but you'll also see Disney there pulling the strings being, oh, she's a bad guy now, she's a bad, oh, but you can't blame her. She read an evil book, and that made her bad. Wanda is hunting America in this movie because she wants America's powers to be able to travel into the multiverse because in the multiverse she just believes that her children exist out there. Oh, you remember those children, yeah, those two imaginary 10-year-olds that she knew for 3 days during WandaVision? Yeah, her not being able to hang out with them is the justification for her killing hundreds of people throughout this movie. Like, I don't even think she mentions Vision once throughout this entire movie, and that's probably because WandaVision brought Vision back to life, and instead of him hanging around with Wanda, he flew off into space for no apparent reason. So I think even the movie realizes that if they mentioned Vision, they would seem stupid, because none of the Wandas in this movie mention Vision at all. Yeah, you probably realized that I said Wanda has been hunting America through the multiverses to steal her ability to go through the multiverses. Yeah, the movie doesn't explain this. Wanda just somehow knows that this girl exists, even though America says herself she's the only copy of America Chavez in the entire multiverse. Wanda just knows where she is. She can detect her automatically, send demons out, even though she can't interact with the multiverse herself. It's really silly. The movie doesn't even try and explain it, it just shrugs it away. Later on, when they're in a different universe, Wanda takes over her own body in that universe to go on a fucking murder rampage where she kills a whole bunch of Earth's mightiest heroes. And then at the end of the movie, she meets with that Wanda, who's like totally cool with her, and it's like, yeah, yeah, I understand. It's just like, what? No, you just meat puppeted that girl and made her kill like a bunch of her best friends, and now she's probably gonna get executed because there's footage of her doing it, and she's gonna lose the ability to see her own children. This is entirely your fault. You are the bad guy here. But this is what they did in WandaVision, where everyone keeps going up to Wanda and being like, "No, no, you're not a bad guy for doing all these awful things. We understand. You're sad, so it's okay." And that's what they did with WandaVision, and that's why WandaVision was an absolute fucking nightmare. And yes, don't worry, there are some cringeworthy girls get it done moments as well. Like, they don't specifically make it about gender in this movie. However, it's very hard not to notice during her murder spree when she's fighting the Earth's Mightiest Heroes that with every male character, not dependent on how incredibly powerful these guys are, that she one shots each of them instantly and they instantly lose. Whilst with the girls, even for a character as weak as Captain Carter, who is pretty much just a human with slightly better reflexes, it's a long drawn out fight that she slowly has to get the better of her. It's ridiculous. It pretty much is just like this movie changes constantly on how she deals with magic. So when she's fighting the men that she needs a one shot, her spell works instantly and she instantly hits them with it. When she's fighting the women, she has to like roll her hands and generate the spell and then throw the spell towards them, and they can either dodge it or deflect it or whatever, and it makes the fight take longer. This happens throughout the entire movie constantly, that they have no idea how their own magic system works, and it is a bit bad. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on the movie. It's a solid movie, not the best in the world, but certainly not as bad as I was expecting, especially after WandaVision. So yeah, like, subscribe, all that shite. Have a good one, folks. Bye bye.